I'm going to make a confession to y'all now. This particular video is upsetting to me. Upsetting on multiple levels. Mostly because it is training young men to not think critically about the life they live or the way they operate or how they see love. I will put it like that. It seems we become a society where the most important person is you alone, especially if you're in a relationship, just you. The other person is just kind of there as a crutch or a cudgel even sometimes. Now, what you're going to hear is them explaining to the masses their viewpoints on their husband's position, what they think themselves as a husband, and how they view their significant other. I'm going to tell you that if you are the ilk that believes in the Bible's definition, you're going to sense some things that are off. It may even put you in the position that I'm in. So I'm going to have you hear it in its entirety. I'm not going to stop it because I know people say, why do you stop it? Why do you stop? Well, because it's copyright issues. But this one, I'll let it play. Because I think it's effective for you to hear the entirety of their exchange and how they really trivialize their positions as husbands. I'll put it like that. They trivialize it to the point where it's really, really hard to take them seriously. I'll let them go.
We can't get off this subject. I gotta ask you a question. Are you in love with your wife?
No,
Me either.
what? I don't believe in that shit anyway. It's so it's overrated.
No,
Listen, then why?
Okay.
See,
Y'all need to explain that shit to me then.
I had a feeling. No, I'm not in love with her.
Why?
Don't even know her.
What are you doing? Why?
This is our 8th. Hold on, we got married in 2016. This is year number 8. September 8th, we'll be married 8 years. No. No. Ruby D and Aussie Davis, right?
Yeah.
65 years married or something crazy.
Yeah.
So when he died, Will and Jada went over there. This is before all the Will and Jada.
Yeah.
They went over there for like some type of talk, counseling talk. She goes, Ruby, who's 80s, 90, goes, how long you known that boy? And Jada said, 20 years. And she goes, you don't know him, honey.
Shit.
Yeah.
all my relationship with my wife is a relationship with myself. I'm just discovering parts of me, bro. We're lying to ourselves so fucking much to hold up this story or this ideal, the fantasy, without, as opposed to just really fucking dealing with what's there and accepting it.
Well,
to the best of your ability.
I understand this. Now, how do you get women to understand that? You get them to bow out of the fantasy.
You get them to, by you bowing out.
And my wife thinks she's in love with me, probably.
It's a buzzword. It's a concept that's been propagated that we've adopted and creates an unrealistic expectation that we look for, and when it's not present, we feel something is wrong.
Yeah, we've allowed that to condition ourselves to that concept being a governance.
Now, I will tell you their biggest issue. They have zero clue what love is, honestly. Otherwise, they would never state things the way they state them. They have no idea what love is. Not a single clue. Why I say that? The instant you can tell me that your entire marriage is about knowing yourself, you should have done that before you got married. Or else, how are you marrying the person without knowing what you're actually wanting? You'd have to know something about yourself, right? Okay, cool. So if that is the way you're approaching a marriage, it tells me it's a very selfish way of going about it. That's what it comes across to me, is that you're in this for you. But that's not the intent of marriage. That simply isn't its intent. Now, if you're telling me that you don't know your wife, it means that you're not actively figuring out that person, that you're too self-absorbed to figure out what the other person is about. And if you don't know what they're about, how are they going to help you? And if they don't know what you're about, how are you going to help them? They don't know. You're pretty much strangers living in the same roof and have a tag of what you think you're involved in. Unfortunately, we are having men like this teach other generations of men how really not to be husbands. Again, I'm basing my viewpoint of husbandry not off of the world's and ideas of the society. I'm basing it off of what God said. Point blank, period. A man is a protector, just like Christ over the church. A woman has a position of caring, nurturing, fostering the home, and her husband is known and loved by her. Loved. I don't see how you can be involved in a relationship of any kind and not say that you're in love. I get what society means by in love now. It's a superficial term and idea. I get maybe that's what they're talking about. But if that's how you're viewing your relationship, then you still don't know what love is. If you make this relationship that you're in about you, that's not a marriage. It's a union. Union, which means they complement each other on multiple levels. Complement. They're not are each other, they complement each other. They do for each other what they can't do for themselves. I don't care how much you know about yourself. If you say you're entering into a marriage, there should be room for that other person to do something, complement you, be something to you that you cannot be for yourself. And they're an aid, they're a help meet. By their actual design, a help meet. So what does that tell the next generation of men? It tells them, do you, boo-boo. Forget her. She gonna do her anyway. It's not like over time you're gonna know. He's speaking about this Ruby and Will Smith. Obviously, she gave bad advice because it never helped them. They still broke up. 65 years of rooming together does not make one have a grandiose relationship. They may work for them, but to say they don't know each other is sad. You don't know them? Anything? I can tell you that my wife knows me and I know her. The problem is that we're afraid to divulge ourselves because it probably for him, like he said, he don't know him. And if every day you're taking to just know you without divulging it to the other half, what point is there to being married? If you're using her simply for knowing yourself, I think you can do that on your own. The union doesn't seem to be a positive thing for her, from what you're saying. And if it is, how? Please tell me how. And then you're telling me, how do you get her to think like you? So you would like her to think like you, but you don't want to think like her? I think I'm right in the idea that is a selfish idea. You see, you have the concepts down. Headship, who's in charge kind of thing, and you consider that a version of love. But for you to tell me that she should behave or according to your standard of it, that then you're not involved in a union. There's a hierarchy. Is there at least a little concession on your side for her? Any at all? So you must only take this time to know you and she doesn't have any time to know you or you know her? How is it a union? You can get the same exact thing from a roommate situation. You could. And maybe that's your union. Maybe that's what you do consider your marriage, a roommate situation. And that you do it for tax reasons or you do it for this other reason. But the mere fact that you cannot tell me that you love your wife is a problematic one. And I'm not talking about the superfluous stuff that people go around saying, I love her and I dream about her daily, every day of my life. I cannot live. And if she dies, I die too. That's not love. That is also very selfish. Because now you're hinging all that you do on that person. Just like you hinging everything that you learn about yourself on the marriage. That's not love. So in essence, what you're telling everybody is that love is a delusion. It's not real. And all you can do is you. You might be coming to a union and you might call that person your wife, but this is about you. Your own words, not mine. So why do you need the other person if it's about you? Wouldn't that be abuse? Wouldn't that be using the other person for your own ill-gotten gains just for yourself? How is that fair? Unless, of course, you do it the other way where you allow her to use you to build herself. But I don't see how that can work when your entire aim is you. By definition, you won't allow yourself to be used for someone else's gain because you're about yourself. Men, listen, or at least boys who are becoming men. If you ever decide to step into the union of marriage, the idea of marriage, having a spouse, there are certain obligations that you have as a man that you cannot shirk. One of them is being sure of yourself, that this particular union that you're going into, that you are the beginning and the end of protections for your family. Secondarily, it's not that you're putting your wife on a pedestal or anything like that, but she is indeed something for you, and she is something for you that is ordained, the same way that you are something for her that's ordained. And it should be something cherished. It should be something that is so happy that you think about that I'm so glad I have the person I have. But the instant you start to make this thing about the you, and I need to know me, and I don't love her. No, I'm not in love with her. No. And if she thinks that, well, too bad for her. And I hope she's not in love with me. That's silly. That's an illusion. Why would you trivialize your relationship like that? Why would anybody want to be involved in that kind of a union where it cannot be tangibly found out? So what exactly do people see when they see that relationship? Let's look from the outside. If someone were to come up to you randomly and you're holding hands in the parking lot, and mind you, your viewpoint is you're not in love, and they say, man, you two look like you're so in love, will you in front of your significant other say, in love? I'm not in love with her. I'm in this trying to get a better version of me. Would you be able to say that in public, out loud, in front of people, like you're doing now? In love with her? No, I'm not in love with her. Indignantly, like you're doing now. And then say, no, that's a ridiculous concept. That's what people try to force on people to make them feel some way. I'm not in love with her. Think about this. What would that make her feel like? Unless, of course, she said, yeah, he's right. I'm not in love with him either. Now, the other person is listening to this and thinking, so is this what marriage is supposed to be? And you said, yeah, that's a marriage. That's what it's supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be in love with her, and she's not supposed to be in love with me. I'm doing this for me, and she's doing it for her. What's the object lesson there? You see, what it really comes down to is each his own thing. Everybody wants to still be an own entity, even in the confines of one flesh. If you're one flesh, no man ever hates his body or loves his body and hates his wife, or hates his wife and loves his body. It's not possible. But apparently it is in today's society. We have given so much credence to people that we forgot that we have only one person that we're supposed to be dealing with on any kind of level in trueness, and that's God, right? Good. And with the ordinance that we have been placed to as men, we somehow think that doesn't apply to the person that's been given to us. We're in charge of making sure that that person does feel God's love. Point blank, period. Feels his love. And by looking after me only is not looking after their love. This advice will be the cause for multiple ways of getting divorced. And I mean myriads. If men take this advice, one, you're probably never going to get married. Or two, if you do, it's going to be a very, very, very long road. And women, if you do, or for maybe some reason you want a dude that doesn't love you. Maybe you want a guy that just is there to provide the money and provide this and nothing else. And it's not about love. Maybe that's your thing. but by the definition that it's given to in the place that you're probably going to end up getting married in, the church thing, it doesn't fit. You see, we'll use the concept of it that's ordained, but we don't want the process of it that's ordained. And that's unfortunate, but I think this is where society is going to end up staying for quite some time. We don't want the efficacy of marriage to take effect on both people. Many come to it singly. They just want one person to be happy and not the other person. Or at least we try to tell them, if you're going to be happy, then do what you got to do, and that's your happiness. I don't know when we got to this point. I don't know when it was that society had gotten to the point where it degraded so much that saying that you're in love with your spouse is almost an insult to you. Or it seems psychotic that you're in love with that person. Off the wall. Why would anybody be that way? How did we get to that point? We got there because we don't really understand the word love. You see, in a lot of ways, maybe he thinks that love never rebukes, never corrects, never adjusts. Not one time, but that's not true. Love does that all the time. Maybe his version of love is that I fall down before them all the time. I do whatever they want. I never do me. I always do. It's always about them, never about what I'm supposed to try and do. That's what love is in their book, and that's not love. If that person requires that of you, that's not love. That's selfish as well. So maybe our problem is that the definition of love has been so skewed that marriage is now based on something completely contrary to love. And when that's the case, divorce is inevitable. And it may not happen on paper. You may think that divorce happens only on paper and now we live in separate houses. There are tons of people that live divorced. Tons of people that live married but are divorced. If the next generation has to deal with this dilemma, I can see why they don't want to get married. They don't want to do it because it's pointless to them. There is no benefit to being married. I can find myself by myself. I don't need my wife for that. I can do what I need to do. I don't need a spouse for that. I can figure my life out. I don't need a spouse for that either. And if I do want something in the bedroom, I'll just stay, single and find peace when I want and get rid of it when I don't. And I've heard many people say that I don't need to get married. The kids don't need a stable home like that. They know who dad is and they know who mom is. I mean, to each his own, I guess, if that's how you want to have it. But again, if the side effects come back to roost and you end up getting this idea of getting upset and mad and scared and all, if that happens, don't blame anybody because you chose this. The side effects are going to be natural to you. The downside is going to show up first. But if you don't want it, don't want it. There are tons of people that pick stuff that'll kill them. And you just have to watch them saying, oh, man, too bad. Too bad. But when everything is discardable, everything is arbitrary, love becomes that too. You see, I think what the society has hinged their love idea on is actually called hurt. I think that's what it really is. I love me, so I don't do things that could get me hurt emotionally. Which also means if I don't tie myself to this person, when they die, I'm not going to be hurt. They just left. If I don't tie myself to this person, things they do won't hurt me. Which is why I can't love them. And it's always through the culture that it comes. In the music, in the movies, in the sitcoms, in the shows. Love always gets portrayed as this unicorn and rainbows and riding on clouds and looking longingly into the other person's eyes, and it's glittery and stars, and sitting on a pillow in the middle of a field and looking at the cloud formations, or sipping wine on a yacht, or going down this massive waterfall, or going to Niagara Falls, flying through Paris. All of these elaborate things that you do that you call love. Those might be expressions of love, but it's not love. You will find love in the trenches. You will find love when one spouse is injured, one spouse is sick, and the other one spends their time taking care of that person. That's love. You'll find love in the pain when one person has wronged you and you have to forgive them. That's love. You will find love in the places where your children talk back to one of your spouse and you say to them, that's not the way to deal with it. That would be love. Or even in some cases where your spouse talks ill to your child and you have to take sides for the right reasons. That is love. Or calling out your spouse for something that normally people can't do. That is love. Love is not handing somebody a watch and a car and a ring and a bracelet and some nice shoes and a Prada bag and some Christian Dior kind of cologne. That's not love. But it has become love. The songs tell us so. But it's not. It is expressions that people believe, once I have that, I have love. You don't. You got gifts. And you got someone who can spoil you. And if that's all you want, hey, more power to you. But please don't ever conflate the two as that is love. It's not love. It's something else. It's an amalgamation of a whole bunch of things, but it's definitely not love. Love can indeed hurt you because it has to hurt you sometimes to get through to your skull. I don't like having to deal with my kids when they do something wrong. I don't like seeing my kids cry. Well, not all of them. Some of them, it's boys, you know what I'm saying? Some of them, it's like, that's the only way you can get through them. But I don't like necessarily always seeing my kids cry. But sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes a stern word, sometimes a little pop. Is that love? Or is it, anger? It's love. Love corrects. Love rebukes. Love exhorts. It's long suffering. It doesn't always give gifts and makes the other person laugh. Sometimes love makes the other person cry. And sometimes weep. When I lost my father, I cried. I was broken. But do I ever get days where I wish I never loved my father so I didn't have the experience of that crying? Heck no. There's no way I would ever give up what I felt for my father because I cried. In fact, the crying reminds me that I have a deep-seated 100% love for my father, and it has not gone away. So I will gladly embrace that pain, even if it's loss, for the memory and knowledge that I loved him. But we run from that in marriage. It's weird. Every other process in life requires some sort of breaking. It's crazy. Like when we do something to do with welding, it's two pieces you put together and you put this hot temperature to the point, if you put your hand there, it's gone. But the bond is crazy. Sometimes you have to saw a piece of wood in order to build a table. And by the end of it, the table is just immaculate. There are so many processes out there that include pain, include anguish, include breaking, include smashing sometimes. But it is part of the growing and love process. These men sit around talking like they have really no concern about the persons they're talking about. And it could be that their spouse is like, whatever. But that's not good either. It just means that their spouse is just as broken as them. That means that person is going through just as much turmoil as they are, and neither one of them understands love. They're working in it, I guess, but that doesn't mean it's efficient. That just means that's what they have. I know it's not sugar plum fairies and pie in the sky and chandeliers and champagne. That's not love. That's the world's definition. I mean, some of us, if you have this viewpoint, okay, then you have that viewpoint. I'm not trying to change your viewpoint about it. That's you. But I will tell you this. What you do consider love, and I may not like to hear this, is not love. And I mean, what you have, you might want to call it that, and that's fine. That's what you call it. But by the definition, it's not love. Women, maybe your expectations are too high as well. Maybe you think that love means giving you everything you want. No, love means giving you what you need. What you want changes so often that we can't keep up with that anyway. But what you need, we can do that. We can definitely do that. We're built for that. But maybe it's a two-way street where men are confused, women confused, and when two confused people join together, you end up with double confusion. Not with a solution. So, if you think that this is something that you think you can do the way they're doing it, hey, that's on you. If, however, you want to embody the true definition of love, you have to open up. You got to be vulnerable. You have to be vulnerable. I don't mean you got to be so vulnerable that everybody hurts you. I'm talking about this is just one person, your person. And yes, you do have to know them. There is stuff about them you have to know so that you don't hurt them. And there are things about you they have to know so that they don't hurt you. And you know what assures that they won't hurt you? On purpose and directly and maliciously? Love.
Training athletes, build leaders, changing communities. At Mentors for Life, sponsored by the Bully Me Bad Project, we provide free professional sports training and mentorship to youth with passion, drive, and the desire to grow. We connect them with top-tier coaching and leadership tools that unlock their full potential. Our athletes train with elite professionals like Coach Cedric Booty of CM3, who's worked with NBA players such as Jaden Ivey and Blake Wesley, and the dynamic team of Tevin Lake and Bobo from T2 Sports Performance. Together, they've trained standout athletes including Notre Dame football stars, NFL offensive lineman Danny Piner, and Kyron Williams. In a school or neighborhood of 1,000 youth, 5 redirected lives can mean 5 future leaders, 5 families spared heartbreak, and 5 powerful stories of hope. And this is backed by research from the Money Smart Athlete Foundation, which shows that athletes have a powerful influence on youth behavior, confidence, and long-term success. We don't just build athletes, we build mentors. High school students who complete our program will become certified Mentors for Life members and will be paid to speak, lead, and coach the next generation. To support Mentors for Life, all you have to do is click here if you're on a mobile device, or click here if you're on a computer to donate or learn more. Or you can reach us directly at mentorsforlife574@gmail.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mentors for Life. Donate today and help save our youth.